Okay, so what do we do with the horses that are either injured or slow or can't be effective racehorses? That's what we're going to talk about today. What happens when a horse can't race anymore? First of all, why can't it race anymore? What kind of injury has it had? Has it had an injury? Or is he just not good enough, just slow, maybe just doesn't take to the track, has head issues, he just doesn't want to do the job? I've always said horses are like us, you know, some of them are good at their job and some of them are not good. She's good at her job. And we're all looking for the perfect racehorse, but the perfect racehorse doesn't exist really. All of the horses that we have niggles here and there, and people who think we should only be racing horses that are 100% perfect. There's no horse that's 100% perfect. There's no human athlete that's 100% perfect. We race the horses that are apt to do the job, which means that if they have a problem, if they have a real problem, obviously we don't race them. If they have something that they can deal with or something that's not a big problem that they can race with just fine, they can race. It's up to us to decide when and where to stop a career. It's important to know that we also have a big network in place of stables that take horses and retrain them and rehome them. There are various associations called Au-delà des pistes, KerdiCourse, Cheval Avenir. We've retired some of ours. We went to Cagnes with 12 horses, we came back with 6. 2 went to other trainers, 1 was just shipped home to race here. 1 was a bleeder that just couldn't be managed, and 2 had other issues in the joints and legs that would not stop them from being perfectly wonderful riding horses for people, but just at speed, the shock of the speed would be too much. Here are 2 of our retirees, 2 horses that we've had to stop during the meeting. One is Gracian, who was claimed for 20,000 euros last year, and just has had a number of problems, but was starting to come good again, taking a couple of places, but she had a capsulite, that is in English, I have to think about it, in her right front joint, and she was still racing on it, but it was clear she wasn't going to go any faster than she was showing us she was going to go. So rather than risk any more serious injury, we said, okay, that's enough, we'll have to just stop with her. And then next to her is kind of a 100,000 euro mistake, I hate to say. It's Addiction. I bought Addiction as a yearling because I loved his family. And Addiction has been one of the most frustrating horses for us because we've given him every chance and he had just about everything go wrong. He's a very big horse, and so it took a lot of time. We knew it was a late family, so he wasn't going to be a 2-year-old. So we started him and we stopped him and we started him and we stopped him, and then we had to wait for his tendons to mature, and then we had to wait for his back to mature, and then when we got going there, he had I'm trying to think of the English word for jarred. He had a problem with his hocks behind, so then we cold fired that, and that was just coming good, and he's just turned into a really big, beautiful, fantastic moving horse, and everything is going the right way. And then we found out that he's a bleeder, which thankfully rarely happens here. And usually there's a reason. Usually there's an underlying lung infection that was missed, or the training hasn't been done properly enough or slowly enough, but believe me, we've given this guy every length of time he's ever needed, so he has no reason in the training to be a bleeder, and we've made every test and he has no lung infections. So in his case, it looks like it's probably genetic, and in that case there's really not much we can do about it. We've tried to manage him with the mask and with treatments, and now we don't use Lasix in Europe, and he's never had it. What we've done for him to treat him is use clenbuterol and dexamethasone in a respiratory mask, which we can only do, we have to stop that 10 days before any race. We tried that. We've tried, antibiotics for any infection we might have missed, and it's just not going to work. He did just a simple piece of work the other day and bled after that, so then we decided to call time. And really, really frustrating when the rest of the horse is just such a good looking. Look at him. He's a picture, and he's going to be a fantastic riding horse for somebody because he's sound. There's no problem with his legs. There's no problem with his back right now. He's a nice moving horse. He's easy to ride. He can jump. He can do anything the leisure horse world wants him to do. He just probably isn't going to run a big cross-country course because then he would bleed. So the frustrations of having to stop after putting so much into them, it's hard to take, it's hard to swallow sometimes. But now we'll meet the person responsible for one of our retirement programs and show you how that works. We are very lucky to have associations that take our racehorses that need to retire and find them new homes. Ludivine Crapeau is the founder and the president of KerdiCourse, which is actually right here at the Hippodrome in Cagnes. And she has taken several of our horses through the years, and what she does is she takes all the time she needs to retrain them and then rehome them. Tu as fondé KerdiCourse en
J'ai fondé KerdiCourse en 2015.
The association was started in 2015, and you've placed, vous avez placé combien de chevaux?
À peu près 430.
Ah, she's rehomed about 430 retired racehorses over the 7 years that she's been going. And combien de la mienne? 4 peut-être ou 5?
Non, 7-8.
7-8. Right? She's taken 7 or 8 of ours over the years and found new homes for them. What we try to do is we try to give her a horse that, you know, we obviously try to stop before anything major goes wrong. And on a toujours essayé d'arrêter avant les grands soucis.
Oui.
Parce que vous, en fait, vous gardez le cheval pour tout le temps que tu as besoin, pour guérir les blessures, pour refaire les entraînements style cheval de selle, et après, vous avez une liste de clients qui cherchent les chevaux de sport. C'est ça?
De sport ou de famille.
Ou de famille.
De loisirs ou de famille.
Okay.
On adapte à ce que le cheval pourra faire.
So she has a good client list of people who are looking for sport horses or just horses that are going to be the family pet, that are going to be in the field, depending on what the horse can do and can't do after they've retired from racing. Pendant les meetings d'hiver plat des obstacles, vous avez déjà pris combien cette année? So during this meeting, there's a jumps meeting and then there's the flat meeting afterwards, and I've just asked her how many horses she's already taken in.
J'ai pas fait le calcul.
Ouais.
Mais je pense qu'on doit être vers entre 25, 27.
She's taken in between 25 and 27 horses during this meeting, so she has a lot of work ahead of her for the next 6 months or even longer trying to find homes for these horses. And vous les gardez, c'est quoi, c'est vous vivez en cas, vous pouvez pas trouver la bonne maison. Qu'est-ce que il reste là? Voilà. And she said, well, if we can't find the right home, then they wait. We keep looking.
Il fait de l'équithérapie.
Oh wait, that's right. Oh wait, Ludivine also does ecotherapy with children that come in during the off season and they work with the horses. She also has there's a ring, a carrière back there that they can work with them here. And there are 2 establishments. There's this part of the stable at the racecourse, and there's another off-site stable in the Var, which is a more traditional equestrian center and stabling where the horses they start here until they can be moved to there, and then from there they move on to there. There's always a budget involved, and France Gallo helps with a little bit of a subvention, but any donations that anybody wants to make to KerdiCourse, I'm more than welcome, and feel free. The details are behind us, and the money has gone to a really good cause, so please make a donation to KerdiCourse. Let's go have a look at Geneviève, which is the 3rd horse that we've retired. This horse, she's had her problems over the past year, and we knew that when we bought her. So it was a bit of a gamble, but she has run a couple of nice places and shown us some nice things. And she had just done one of the nicest pieces of work we had ever seen her do. And about 3 days, well, even about 4 or 5 days after it, she was entered in a race the following week. And Monday morning, came in to saddle her up, to take her out. We found on her backside a square of sweat right here, and we thought she rolled in something, but it turns out she's pulled a muscle right here, and it was very tense and very sore, and for about 3 days it was localized, just sweating, and you can tell she's not very happy about me poking at it, so let's just leave her alone. But at the end of the day, that certainly would not have been a career-ending injury. But it was like this plus this plus this. It just added up to too much. But when we bought Geneviève, she was a very cheap horse to buy, and we knew she had some problems, and we've taken a lot of care with her over the year, and she's just been. I think we've hung on to her because she's just such a nice person. We just didn't want to let her go because she's such a lovely horse to have around. and a fantastic horse to ride, and she'll do any job, anything you like. Be a leader for the young horses, or, you know, just never asked any questions. But finally, we decided we just had to call it a day. And luckily, Ludovine is here to take over. We don't get any money for these horses. We place them, and then she places them, and she gets money when she places them, which is how she stays in business. So that's a trade-off we make. We give the horse to the association, and in return, the association keeps track of where the horse goes and can make sure that, you know, they go to decent homes, and they keep track of them after that during the life of the horse. Let's talk about horse slaughter, which is something Americans like to talk about. And they like to say, oh, French people eat horses. I've seen it on every menu. Be honest, what you've seen on every menu is steak à cheval. That's a cheval. A steak is a steak. Steak à cheval is ground beef with an egg over the top, which is the à cheval part. Steak à cheval has nothing to do with a cheval. I just have to point out that steak à cheval is not cheval, so let's get that perfectly clear, first of all. Second of all, do people still eat horse meat in France? They do. The percentage of that is falling way, way down. But the horse meat they're eating actually usually comes from South America. I don't even want to know how that happens. But almost every racehorse in France has well, they all have a passport, and in every passport, almost everyone has a signature that excludes them from human consumption, which means that there's absolutely no value in taking a racehorse to the butcher because they can't be slaughtered anyway. So I would say that 98% of the racehorses in France have that signature from a vet, from their trainer, and from their owner, because a lot of the products that a racehorse is likely to get over its career can't be put into the food chain. This horse has been treated in the past with corticosteroid injections, with ulcer medications, with, you know, everything we've needed to keep her comfortable, which is, by the way, a lot less than you need to keep a horse comfortable in America, but that's for another episode. And so her passport is marked excluded from human consumption, so she does not have to worry about ending up in somebody's dinner plate. This is Samoza, who is a 5-year-old gelding who has a fracture of the knee and finished third jumping with that fracture, and was given to KerdiCourse to save after that, and it was touch and go for a while, but he's still here, and he's doing a lot better than he was several weeks ago. So this horse is going to make it, and he'll have a family waiting for him when he is done. He's a nice horse, and he's really fought to stay around, so he'll be okay, and he's very hungry. But this is an example of a horse that will just stay as long as it takes to find him a home. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell.